Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to wait for you guys to tune in. Good morning. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, Amita. Welcome. Welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome. Definitely let me know where you're tuning in from so I can give you a shout out. Good morning, Two Hands. Ashani, good morning. Bo to Queen, good morning. Capiche, good morning. Teresa, Sweet Lips YouTube from New York, good morning. If this is your first time, welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Aisha Chidole. I'm an immigration lawyer here in the United States. I'm in Atlanta, but I represent clients in all 50 states in the United States with their immigration matters to the U.S. We handle, family-based immigration, humanitarian-based cases. Humanitarian-based cases would be things like VAWA, T visas, U visas. Family cases would be things like, marriage-based, sibling, parent, child, fiance, consular processing, and then we also handle, sorry, someone's comment is cracking me up. We also handle waivers for misrepresentation or for hardship, appeals. We also handle removal cases. So if you have a master hearing or an individual hearing, we're happy to help you. I'm going to have Attorney Stacy join me live tomorrow, so make sure you tune in tomorrow. We can you can ask your removal related questions. So if you're someone who has a notice to appear, which is also known as an NTA, to appear in front of an immigration judge, you want to make sure that you tune into tomorrow's live at 10. All right. Okay, so today I don't have any topics. If you have questions, you can ask them. I was just saying to a colleague of mine, obviously with everything going on in Iran, it's been a little quiet the last few days with immigration. And honestly, we could use the quiet because, it's very, very distracting. It's very, very demoralizing. It's very, very, because, every time something new comes out, you got to go, leave what you're doing to go read the new law, to dissect the new law, to see how the new law applies to whatever it is that you're doing, and, how to educate your audience or how to address filings and stuff like that. So, we always joke that every Friday we get something new, in the world of immigration. And so we're just kind of hoping for it to be a bit more quiet there while they work on removing some of these pauses and these holds and stuff like that. Melanin said, "Love you, goddess, but can I say fuck your government?" Listen, it's a free country. You can say whatever you want, My case is still being processed by USCIS since August 14th. I don't know what kind of case you have, but August 14th is really not a long time. August 14th would mean that your case has been processing for about, maybe 6 months. Regardless of whatever case type, that would be under a normal timeline. Alicia tuning in from Alabama, good morning. Denise, good morning. This attorney wears her heart on her sleeve. I love her so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Alicia Young says, my cousin just yesterday received interview notice from USCIS for her I-130 and I-485, but has a master hearing for removal proceeding for April 2027. What does this mean? It could mean one of two things, so obviously if she has a removal, a master hearing, it means that she probably, I'm assuming she probably had a previous case that may have been denied. Because typically if you're not someone that has like a deportation order, or like you weren't like picked up in detention or crime, usually an NTA would usually arise if you had like some other case that you filed that was denied, even if now you are like filing the new case. So if you have denied cases, it doesn't matter whether you file a 485 or not. In the past, you file a 485, a new one, let's say your case is denied, they may or they may not, I mean, not they may, they would most likely not send you an NTA if you don't have a crime. Now it's kind of like 50-50. It's kind of like luck of the draw. So the interview, they're not going to be able to make a decision on her 485, but they can make a decision on the I-130. If they make the decision on the I-130 and they approve the I-130, then they can try to do the adjustment, the 485, in court and see if they can get the date moved up, for that. So that's what I would say. All right. Okay, Macedona says, good morning. If you file an I-751 petition on that basis of extreme cruelty, divorce, and extreme hardship, but it's pending and you got married, can your wife petition for you for an I-130 and 485? I don't recommend it because you essentially, you already have a green card that you're filing for removal of conditions for. So why file for a new green card application? Especially with a 751, if the issue is you're trying to prove good faith marriage. So I would typically say wait on the decision of the 751 first. Okay, so yes, Alicia confirmed he was arrested and the charges were dropped. Yes, I knew that because that's usually what happens. That's usually how people get an NTA. So if you don't have like a denial of some sort, an NTA again is a notice to appear in front of an immigration judge in a court. That is how people typically get that, either an arrest, or a denied case. Otherwise, most people we've seen, again, I only speak for my own clients. Most people are good, Guys, I cannot stress this enough, Listen, I know people make wrong decisions, wrong choices, whatever it is. But guys, if you are immigrants in this country, you have no business doing anything that should cause you to be arrested. This administration has so demonized immigrants to the point that they have people who don't know much about immigrants or about immigration believing that every immigrant is a criminal, which is very untrue. Majority of immigrants do not commit crimes, but for just the small sliver that commit crimes, this is what they cause. So I am begging you guys, I'm literally begging you guys, don't put yourself in a position that you're arrested for something. If you have a temper problem, chill out. If you need anger management, chill out. If you need to speed, I don't know, go run. Go on the treadmill and run. You don't have to be speeding on the road. If you have a broken, tail light, don't drive. I just, you hear the phrase that common sense is not common, but truly it is shocking to me how uncommon it is. And, I just feel so disappointed when I see certain things from immigrants. You think about what happened with, why is all of this happening with asylum? Because an immigrant went in there and shot up, 2 National Guards. And guess who has to pay for it? Every other immigrant, not just the people that did it, Now, this last weekend, you have, naturalized citizen going to shoot up in Texas. Only God knows how they're going to punish it. I don't know when you guys will wake up and realize that all they're looking for is just one. One is enough for them to carry on that narrative that, this is just how immigrants are. But you will not know that this is probably just 1% of people. But the thing is, if there are people who all they do is consume a certain type of news, there's nothing else. There's nothing else that they will believe. I remember a neighbor of mine who said that this neighbor is very she's a Democrat, and she's very anti-MAGA and whatever it is. And I remember her saying that, on her long ride to work, she started listening to NPR. I've never listened to NPR, so I really don't know what the content is. But based on listening to it, she started hearing a lot of like pro MAGA agenda, pro whatever, and then all of a sudden she started finding herself agreeing with them. With whatever they were saying. And she's like, she had to wake herself up and remember that she's an educated person and she knows what's the truth or whatever it is, and stuff like that. So I say that to say, that if people consume information enough, they start to believe that information. And so if you have people that are consuming the information that is telling them immigrants are bad, immigrants are evil, look, this person, shot someone, oh, this person committed robbery, oh, this person committed theft, they are going to think that this is all that immigrants are, as opposed to them thinking about all the things that immigrants have done for this country, to contribute to this country, and those that have truly assimilated and really enriched the United States. So, I'm coming down my pedestal, but I say to say, please, guys, try your best. Whether the charges are not dropped, try your best to not even put yourself in that position, especially right now. So, Alicia, unfortunately for your friend, most likely, obviously, the 485, they're not going to make the decision. He's going to have to go to removal. They're going to have to, depending on what it is, because sometimes people think, when people sometimes have probation, they say, oh, they dismiss the case or whatever it is. But there's a lot of nuanced information that we're looking for, or the immigration is looking for, whether there was an adjudication of guilt, was adjudication withheld. Like, all of those things make a difference, because generally, if time served, whether it's in probation or whatever, sometimes it means that you're planning to say that you did something or whatever. So there's so many variables to that. I just hope that, your friend is able to overcome that, but generally in removal court, they're looking for good moral character, much more than anywhere else. Okay. Okay. My T visa was denied. I sent a motion, I guess an appeal, but my attorney said we should send a new T visa and refile it at the same time. Does that make sense? If your lawyer feels that you should be refiling, that's your lawyer's prerogative. Obviously, I don't know what your case history is, so I can't really tell you. But generally, sometimes when I look at certain cases or they're denied, we can make that strategic decision as well, where we have an appeal and we're doing a new filing. It just really depends on the case. So, Veronica, I don't know your case, but it can happen, and sometimes we can, state that is a better strategy or option. So yeah, okay. Sonia says I'm Iranian. Stay safe, because I know it's war zone right now and there. How long does removal of condition take to be approved? For most cases, it can take 2 to 3 years. During that time, you should have a 48-month extension, depending on when you filed, if you filed early or late. If you don't have a 48-month extension, your 48-month extension has applied, you can request an added stamp on your passport, or sometimes they can give it to you in like a white, like a paper bag. What is that? What do they call those paper? Like a cardboard type paper, like the hard, what is it called again? I don't remember what it's called. Like a paper, basically, with the added stamp, which is like an extension of your green card, and they would usually give it in like 1 month increments. Sudesh says, good morning. I do have VAWA travel documents. I am in India now, and I want to travel back to the United States, but from the Indian airport, they're not allowing us travel back. This right here is a reason why I've been discouraging people from traveling to anywhere right now that could be part of this whole thing going on that started last week. And, oftentimes, like our clients have very strict instructions that before you take any trip, you need to contact our office so we can ensure that it's safe. And, I know sometimes clients get upset when I say, don't travel, or I wouldn't travel in this scenario. Listen, my job is to protect you, right? It's like me saying to my child, like a 5-year-old child, don't get social media, or like a 10-year-old, don't get social media. And the child will be upset, but it doesn't change the fact that, my job as a mother is to protect them from what they don't need or could put them in situations. And Sedesh's situation is one of those that we're trying to avoid, because right now it is too unstable. Like, for crying out loud, we could be in like a World War III. So right now everybody needs to stay put, especially when you're coming from those regions like Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and, anywhere where, you're seeing like a predominant Muslim community, because we don't know how the strike is going to happen. Israel, like all of these places, like, just stay put. What is happening is just too unpredictable, too fresh, too unstable to risk it. Because what you don't, it's not that you're not allowed to travel, it's that you don't want to be stranded. You don't want to be stranded back there and you can't come back. So by all means, stay put. Okay? Even those traveling to Mexico right now, I'm supposed to actually be in Mexico for spring break this week, but I'm here working, and I was in the office till 11 p.m. last night, which I don't know why I did that. But anyway, so I'm very exhausted. But again, because, they had that stuff last week, and I just was like, you know what? I don't want to put my kids through that, because I don't know what's going on with the airport or whatever it is. So, and I'm a U.S. citizen, so you have to make decisions, not necessarily, sometimes you have to kind of like withhold enjoyment, if that's the word, or withhold certain things that we want to do for a greater cause. So just please be safe. Please be safe. If you don't have to travel, or you can postpone that travel, postpone it. Ma'am, do immigration lawyers accompany their clients to the interview, or some prefer to do it online? Yes, immigration lawyers accompany their clients to interviews. There's no online interview. You attend the interview with your clients, or depending on one's availability, like in our firm, if I'm not available, we would have an attorney, a coverage attorney, attend with you after we've prepped you, and we're ready to go. But depending on the case, most times I do prefer for our clients to attend with an attorney. There was a time where telephonic, like phone appearances were allowed, like during COVID, and as COVID was leaving, where the lawyer could attend via phone, because of COVID, but they're not really allowing that anymore. So that is just how it is. Does a marriage-based case need a sworn affidavit from families, friends to file? First-time application. This is not a need, but it's a nice to have. So you don't need to have you don't need to have affidavits, but if you have, it's nice to have. Remember, when you send affidavits, your affidavits should never look the same. 3 people should not be copy and pasting the same affidavits. 3 people should not be going to do a generic AI affidavit. Each affidavit should really tell the story of how they know you guys as a couple, when they first met you, who they are to you, how they know you, what their perception of your relationship is. And also, it's always good to include if you've ever like hung out with the person, just given like that detail. I hung out with Jane and John in May. We all had movie night. It was wonderful to watch them as a newlywed couple, and some of the things that we did. I really believe that they're an amazing couple, and they have a genuine marriage from my perception. Things like that. That's what it should kind of look like. Okay. If you've been arrested, but at the first hearing it was dismissed, I requested a few days ago for records, and the court said no records found. Should I still say yes for arrest? Yes, you would say yes, but it means that if the case was just null or persecuted, they chose not to prosecute. Usually they would have like a paperwork like that where it says no record found. I will add that in there, and also the explanation, of it. But yes, you should say yes, because it's always good to err on the side of caution, so that it doesn't appear you're trying to hide or misrepresent something. Are they still issuing work permits to asylum seekers? Yes, but there is a proposal of not issuing it for like a year, if my memory serves correctly. I can't even remember now what the rules are from last week. But again, this is a proposal. So unless it passes, it's kind of what it is right now. The NVC hasn't replied to any of our emails. We got a notice saying our application was to be sent to NVC. That was in October. If they've not sent it to the NVC yet, I don't know what kind of case you have, then you want to do it, go reach out to USCIS to confirm if they've sent it to them. And are you using the NVC public inquiry form? Is that what you're using to check? Because NVC is pretty good about responding if you're using that to say, we've not received your file. So I don't know how you're communicating with them. Good morning. I would like to book an appointment to speak to you directly. Is that possible? Yes. When you call our office, which is 407-995-6567, specifically request to schedule an appointment with me specifically. But honestly, guys, even if you don't get me, because sometimes my availability might not be for a little while, we have really good lawyers that work here, guys. Like, I am not joking, because to me, it is very important that I have people that represent the firm that are able to counsel the same way as we do. We have a former USCIS officer that works here as an attorney. We have Attorney Stacey, who will be live tomorrow. So you should feel okay speaking with any of the attorneys at the firm, knowing that regardless of who you speak to, when you hire this firm, you're hiring all of us, and I'm very much involved in every application, even though I wasn't the one who consulted with you or whatever it is. But usually I go through every file before we do submit it. And stuff, unless I'm completely out of commission, like when my brother passed and another attorney was reviewing it. But generally I do try to go through as many. That's why I was here till 11 o'clock last night, because I had a pile on my desk and I was like, now that my kids are home for spring break, let me just review as many as I can, because I don't have to drive them to do different activities. Okay, let's see, do I have time for one more? And then I gotta go. What are the common issues when filing for a green card J1 holder overstaying married to a citizen that you've seen? I'm nervous about the entire process. The biggest thing is to make sure that your J1 does not have a 2-year residency requirement in your home country, because if it does, you need to get a no objection waiver, first of all, before you can submit. If you are one of those who doesn't have a 2-year requirement, the one thing that you want to be mindful of is to make sure that whatever you came for the J1 for, that you actually did that thing, because that's one of the things that some officers will drill down on, and ask, well, did you do the program? Give me proof of the program. Get what happened to the program? Did you finish in the program? Because what they're trying to do is to see if you didn't just come in on a J1 and just abandon whatever you came in for. All right, guys, I gotta go. Tune in at 10 o'clock tomorrow, especially if you're curious about removal cases. I hope we're going to be able to get the combo whatever to work. But tune in tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and we'll be talking all things removal. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.